Hi, it's Nick Astor. I'm here at the Omidyar Network event in Redwood City, California. I'm here with Ned Tozen. He is the co-founder of a company called D.light. They are a bottom-of-the-pyramid solar product innovator, and I'm going to let Ned tell us a little bit more about D.light.
Great, thank you. So there's currently about 1/4 of the world's population that doesn't have access to electricity or has access to some electricity, but it's highly unreliable. So we're providing energy solutions for these families. We've really started out by developing a product line of solar lighting products that enable these families who are currently burning kerosene for light to upgrade from a kerosene lamp to a clean, bright, safe solar light. And kerosene lighting itself, it's hazardous, it's expensive, it has a lot of fumes, it's polluting. Everyone hates this solution, but there's just nothing else available. But with kind of new innovations in solar technologies and LED technologies, it's possible to make really affordable solutions so families can upgrade. And actually, our lowest price product today sells for about $8 to $10 in the market. And that's about 6 to 8 weeks cost of kerosene. So once they buy the product, they don't need to buy kerosene anymore, and then after that they have free light.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of the math here. It's an $8 product. What is it? It's a light with a solar panel on it, essentially.
Yep.
This is replacing some kind of basic kerosene unit in the home. $8 doesn't sound like much to you and me, but that may be a relatively big expenditure for some of these folks in developing countries. How are you addressing that issue in terms of making it affordable? And then, of course, for some of your units are a little bit more expensive than that as well.
Yeah, so this is not an impulse purchase by any means. This is a considered purchase. $8 to $10, that's a lot of money for these families. They're already spending between $5 to $7 a month on kerosene. But they're paying for that in small increments. They buy a little bit of kerosene every few days. So that, which fits more of their income, the way they get income. So making a big investment all up front, it's a big deal. They have to think about it. They have to save up for it. And they really have to believe that the product's going to work and that it's not going to be a situation where they buy the product and it breaks a few weeks later. That would really be a disaster for them. So it's incredibly important for us to design very rugged products that can last in very hot, humid, dusty, and tough conditions and withstand just extreme use, because these customers, when they buy the products, use them all the time. So making sure you have a really good product, it's a really important part of that value equation for them, or else there's no way they're going to invest that money.
So it sounds to me like there's a couple of different things. It's a no-brainer mathematically if you can figure it out, but you got to figure out how to get enough cash on hand to do it. Is that an issue?
You know, if people really believe in the value of the product, they're willing to save up the money. They'll find a way. And you know, I think a good analogous product is the mobile phone in these markets, where the mobile phone penetration in Africa and India, in the rural markets, it's crazy. It's really high, and it's growing at millions of phones per month. And these phones cost typically about $20. It's a big purchase, but it adds a lot of value to people's lives, and people are willing to save up for it. So if people really believe in the product, they're willing to save up for it. But it's an expensive product for people. It would be like, you know, buying a car or buying like a big asset. I mean, that's how people would view it.
Now, one of the things that I love about this kind of technology is that what this does is it opens up the door to all kinds of things that these folks may not have had access to before. I mean, simple things that we take for granted, like their kids can do their homework at night, you know, without going blind, looking at some kerosene light that might be making them sick to top it off. Have you, or have any of the folks that you've worked with, been able to identify some of those tangible benefits? I mean, you've reached X many households, X many kids are, you know, getting schooled that weren't before. Health impacts have improved X, Y, and Z. Folks have extra, you know, cash to spend on other things. I mean, a whole litany of stuff. What are the big ones that you've been monitoring, and what have you actually been able to say, yes, we influence things in this direction?
We're very interested in that, and I think there's a few metrics that we do measure and look at. So number one is just the number of people who have been able to upgrade from kerosene lamps to solar lighting. And as of this month, we've reached 7 million people who have upgraded, you know, got rid of their kerosene lamps, been able to go to solar lighting. And there's a whole variety of impacts in these households that happen as a result of that. I should also mention that actually every month now, there's between 500,000 people to 1 million additional people who are getting rid of their kerosene lamps and upgrading to solar light. So we're growing very fast, which has been exciting. But within that, there's a whole range of impacts that happen within a household. As you said, education is a big one. And actually, that's one of the primary drivers for people to actually purchase the product. It's so their kid can study longer at night, because it's very hard to study with a kerosene lamp. And we've now done some studies on this internally. We've done a study with about 1,000 students across 3 different schools in India, and have found that study time approximately doubled at night from between 1 to 2 hours to 2 to 4 hours. And then pass rates went up significantly at the school, from about 15% pass rate to 50% during exam season. So we're really interested in actually measuring this impact in more detail in other markets, but clearly there's a huge impact there. There's also health impacts. There's less CO2 emitted, which families don't necessarily care about, but actually has a big impact on greenhouse gas emissions. So for every light we sell, when it's in use for about 5 years, it'll offset roughly a ton of CO2. So that means we've offset literally millions of tons of CO2 from our products, which are interesting. And then there's productivity increases as well. And this is a little hard to correlate, but we know that when people have light at home, they're able to have more productive hours in the evening and do more things. People with a little shop can keep it open for longer hours. People who do sewing at night and make income with that can sew for longer. They can be more productive. So as a result, there's an income increase impact. So we're in process of studying that to understand exactly what % increase. We currently estimate about a 15% jump in income increase based on having solar lighting. So those are just some of the impacts. It's so broad. I always get amazed visiting households who have these lights, because I always learn about something new that people use these products for. I mean, to avoid snake bites, or I was in rural China and found out there was a funeral that they lit up with our solar lights, and it was really honoring for this elderly man who had died, because previously they would light it with candles, but they didn't give off much light. And now they were able to really illuminate, and it was really a respectful thing to them. So that was like very meaningful for them.
A huge and meaningful product. Ned, thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good.